Hi, everyone. Welcome back to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side podcast. We've been gone for 2 weeks, but it's still Yinka Yusuf,
Hello, people.
and I'm still at Canada K. It's really good to be back. Yinka, how you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. You?
Busy, busy, busy. Crazy times,
Eh,
professionally, personally. Lots
Yeah.
of travel, lots of work, but still here.
Oh, we're still here. Yeah. It's been a tough couple of weeks for me.
Yeah,
As you're aware, we had a bereavement in the family.
yeah.
Um, so I think I just want to pray for all the loved ones that we've lost.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
may God forgive their sins. Take care of them and take care of us
Yeah,
too that were left behind. I think I'll just
amen.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah, tough times, but
Tough times. Tough times. Anyway, we're
we
back.
we keep moving.
We
We
keep
keep moving.
moving.
It's
We
so
keep
it's
moving.
so funny because obviously you and I have talked about some of these things in the past, and even on here,
Yeah.
it makes you think whenever there's a bereavement or whatever. You think about the people left behind. You think about your own mortality. You think about the
Yeah.
mortality of your loved ones and stuff like that, and
Absolutely.
it's
Absolutely.
just it's just crazy.
It's
Yeah,
humbling.
but
I think
yeah,
humbling is the
very.
proper word. It is
I
humbling.
think that's the word. Yes, it is. It is. It's so funny because it feels so final. You know,
Yeah.
um, the other time when we talked about Professor, past 2 years ago, and I
Yeah.
was telling you, and I think what I couldn't get over was if I ever drove to their house now, he wouldn't be there. For some reason, I don't know why. That's the thing that stuck with me. But it just kept coming back to me that you mean if I drove there right now, he wouldn't be there, and it just
Yeah.
felt so
Yeah.
crazy and pointless and ridiculous. So, but
Yeah. It is
yeah,
humbling. Let's leave it
yeah,
at that. Let's leave it at that.
yeah.
Mm.
All right. So, Yinka, this is
Yes,
going to be
sir.
a very, very kind of different kind of episode.
Mm-hmm.
We've been gone 2 weeks. We cannot recap everything that's happened over the past 2 weeks. We would not
Yep.
try to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We also try to come up with quote unquote worthy mentions, but didn't really come up with anything. So what we're gonna do is we just do, and I'm doing this on the fly. We do the league review and preview as I already mentioned, if that makes sense. We do it thematically and just boom, boom, boom,
Works
work
for me.
through it and be done. And hopefully
Works for
this
me.
is not another 2 hour episode. Let's keep this one under 90 minutes. How about that?
Fingers crossed.
I know, I know people have missed us, but we want them to keep missing us. So let's not bore
Mm,
them. All right.
fine.
So Inka, let's where should we start from? Let's start in Germany, right?
Yes.
Let's start in Germany. So I think the way I want to do it is if there's anything top of mind for you in the
Mm-hmm.
league, you
Mm-hmm.
just say it, and then we'll finish with what we have on the agenda.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? All right.
that makes sense.
So tell us what's top of mind for you in the Bundesliga, and then we'll talk about the topic we have on Germany. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Bundesliga in the league, Bayern is still unbeaten as it stands. They won. They won this week, and they're 6 points ahead of Eintracht. With the way the league is going, I think Bayern have that in their pockets already. I will
Hmm.
be very, very shocked if anything happens. Um, and I'm quite disappointed in the chasing pack, the Leverkusens, the Leipzigs, the rest of them. I thought they would have given Bayern a bigger challenge than they're currently giving them, but unfortunately, Bayern seems to be coasting. Yeah. Um, the bigger issue for Bayern, and probably this is a good segue into the topic that we thought of, is what's
Yeah.
happening to them outside of the league.
Yeah.
So They got knocked out of the DFB Pokal by Leverkusen.
which
Uh,
is the FA Cup equivalent in Germany.
yes, and this was in the round of 16. Yeah, it was an unfortunate game. I think Bayern had a player sent off in that match early in the match. I think. Yes, they had the goalkeeper sent off. Yeah, I think I actually saw that. They had a tackle with
Yeah,
Frimpong, and I think I saw the highlights for that. Uh, and they lost. They got knocked out. And if we look at the UCL table also, Akin, Bayern are languishing. Where? They're somewhere down in the playoff zones, if you get what I mean. Yeah.
yeah. They won a
So
game, which was good. They held on against PSG. I think it's
they
the
held
best way to describe it. They held on.
they held on against PSG,
Yeah,
but they are not they're not where Bayern hierarchy, and I think we've talked
yeah,
about this before. They're not where
yeah.
Bayern hierarchy will want them to be.
Okay,
The league is a given. It's the other things that they
okay.
want them to do. They want company to do. So what's your take on this? Do you think company's job is on the line? Do you think it's
Yeah.
safe? Do you think he should be worried? At least
So
given their position in the UCL and the DFB Pokal exit.
So, Inka, you know how
Yes,
we
sir.
just randomly come up with new segments all the time on this show? Because
Yes.
sometimes we just make this stuff up, sometimes on
Yes,
the
we
fly.
do.
So, let's call this our new safe or not safe segment, courtesy of Yinka Yusuf, because he came up with this framing. Um, so, safe or not safe, honestly, with Vincent Kompany, I would say I really don't know. So here's the problem with Bayern, right? And they are a problem as a club.
Mm,
If I look at it, they won nothing last year, right? They won absolutely nothing. They were a disaster. They sometimes looked good. They mostly didn't. They had maybe three consistent players last year, including Harry Kane. But then Harry Kane also disappeared when they needed him the most.
mm-hmm.
So I guess it depends on how you define consistency. Their manager was pompous, arrogant, inconsistent. They threw him out. Players looked old. Their young players looked like they were the best part of the team, but they weren't always involved. Everybody was injured all the time. It seemed that was the club that Kompany took over, right? And I believe only Bayern and Real Madrid of all the top clubs will expect a new coach to come in, take over that kind of team, and immediately win 4 trophies the next year. That only happens at Real Madrid and Bayern, right? So that's why I don't believe I don't believe his job is safe. I think they will let him go. It may not be right away, right? It may not be right away. So,
Mm,
but there's a couple ways it could save his job, because the problem with the DFB pokal is you can only do yourself a favor if you win it. If Tuchel had won it last year, it would not have saved his job, right? They expect you to win that, right? But then if you lose it and you lose it to a rival, it's a problem. If you lose it to a small club, it's a problem.
no
If
problem.
you lose early, it's a problem. If you lose on a final, it's a problem. It's always a problem if you lose to any German club if you're Bayern. You know what I mean? Like, if you lose to Barcelona, it's a problem. If you lose to Real Madrid, it's a problem. But if you lose to a German club, you're gonna lose your job, right? So I think Kompany should start thinking about where he's gonna coach next, which is what you and I talked about when he took the job. We didn't expect
Yeah.
him to get the job, but I'm like, this is good. If you start from Bayern, that's your first top level club. Then this is good. So he should just enjoy his life, win the Bundesliga with as large a points gap as possible,
As possible.
and then go on to the next place. City might be looking for a manager soon. So why
Ooh.
why not you? So that's my
Ooh.
take on it, Inka.
Okay, so I kind of agree with you. I think he's always been a placeholder, kind of,
Mm. Yeah.
um, which is not the best place to be in as a coach. And they're just going to look for an excuse, right? Right now,
Yeah.
you're out of the DFB protocol. You're not. If he doesn't get out of this playoff zone in the Champions
Yeah.
League, there will already be rumblings around. We need to get rid of this guy.
Absolutely.
That's the
Absolutely.
honest truth. That's
Absolutely.
what I think will happen. So safe or not safe for now, I think it's safe for now, but he had better get better in the Champions League, or else 4 weeks or by February when we know what's going on in the
Yeah.
Champions League, this dude might not have a job anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. But I really think we should. I really think the Man City thing could be a place for him. He's literally a legend at Man City.
You
So
want to add? Are you saying you want to add Pep Guardiola to our safe or not safe
no,
segment
he
already?
won't get fired. He won't get sacked. He will walk away. Pep will walk. Remember, I said it. I think the last time we talked about this, I'm like, this is a guy who used to take a sabbatical every 3 years, and now
Yeah.
he's gone for what, 7,
Mm-hmm.
6 years, 7 years at City. So he's already done twice as long as he did at Bayern, twice as long as he did at Barcelona A. If you're not
Backing the
counting
man just
Barcelona B.
signed. He just signed a new 2-year extension.
Contracts
So
don't mean anything in football. You know this. Playing or coaching.
yeah,
They don't mean it's just money.
I'm happy you said that. It's just
It's
they're
just money.
they're just compensating him, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
if anything happens, he'll get a golden handshake and he'll ride into
yeah.
the sunset
That's not a problem.
and reemerge again somewhere else.
Yeah, or he might decide he wants to build clubs now and not coach them. But I don't think that
Or,
will ever happen. But you never
yeah,
know.
or be a
Yeah,
sporting director or something. Yeah,
something. Yeah, that's what I
and
meant. Yeah, so I don't think so.
yeah.
Yeah. All
Anyway,
right.
let's
So,
move on.
do you have anything else you want to say about Germany, or should we move on in our
Germany is
quest
boring
to?
as it is. It is boring.
This is true. This is
There's
true.
no
Lot. Yeah.
there's nothing exciting happening in Bayern, right? Kane is banging in the goals. He had
Yeah.
an injury scare this weekend. I don't know how far that will go. Fingers crossed. I think it's a minor one. Other than that, Germany is boring. Very
Mm.
boring. Mm.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's move on. So, why don't we go to Spain real quick?
Yeah.
So, let's do the same thing. Let us know what's happening, and then we'll go to our safe or not safe, and because we do have one.
So in Spain is interesting, a bit more interesting. I told you the last time that I'm not sure what's going on in Spain. It's like nobody wants to win the league. Barca, over the weekend, they threw away a 2-goal lead against Betis. And Madrid bricked
Mm.
Girona silly. I think it was 3-0 eventually.
Mm.
Atletico Madrid, who is third, who, if they had won, they will now be just 3 points behind Barcelona. They are currently losing to Sevilla 3-2 at home. Only God knows how that will end. So it's like everybody is just taking turns in telling the whole world we're not interested in winning this league.
Mm.
But apart from that, I think this Jekyll and Hyde situation with both with both Barca and Madrid is quite
Mm.
unfortunate. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, it's like, how do I put this? It's like both teams are not playing to their max potential. They
Mm.
do that in one game, the next game they mess up. Madrid have this, I don't know, they have a situation going on with them. So the 3-0 win against Girona is going to mask over a lot of cracks, in my opinion. They've not played well in recent times. Yeah,
Yeah.
they they
Yeah.
they haven't. In the league, yeah, they lost away to Bilbao. I think that was midweek. They lost away to Bilbao. Before then, they lost away to Liverpool. Yeah, and these were two important games for them. Yeah.
Yep.
So right now, if you look at Madrid in the Champions League, they're even in a worse situation than Bayern Munich.
Yes,
They're in
they
a
are.
worse situation than Bayern Munich. They're at the bottom of the playoff zone.
Mm-hmm.
Madrid only have 6 points in the Champions League. Yeah, and that's a problem for them. That's a major problem for them,
Mm.
right? Mbappe, once again, inconsistency and also being a bit stubborn. He's missed 2 spot kicks. Yeah. And if that happens to you, if you have the is it the EPL, what do you call it?
Self-awareness.
Then you should just say, you know what? Why let someone else take it for now? Yeah,
Yeah.
let someone else take it, especially when the games are quite crucial.
Mm.
Anyway, so Madrid, Barca, both teams, I don't know what's happening to them. I think they need to settle down. I think they
Mm.
need to, um, for Barca, I think Barca chopping and changing is too much. Just have a
Mm.
standard 11, and when people then get injured, bring people in. Yeah. But this idea of I want to use the whole squad, same thing with Madrid. Oh, I want to use my squad. You need to have an 11. Then what you should be
Mm.
thinking of is I need to rest 1 or 2 people. Somebody's injured, somebody comes in. Not that you want to make use of your full squad. A lot of people will argue that at the end of the season it becomes beneficial to teams that do this. I get that.
Mm.
That they are fresher, blah 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 blah. I
Yeah.
get all that. But maybe you need to define yourself first. Find your fit first before you start chopping and changing and the rest of it. So that's what's
Hmm.
going on in La Liga.
Okay.
Like I said, Atletico is losing at home right now to Sevilla, and Sevilla is not even, they are way down the table. That shouldn't be happening.
You
It's
know,
it's funny.
Inka, I thought about you when I was looking at the table after the Girona uh, Madrid game,
Yeah,
because the last time you brought up Atletico being a challenger for the title, I shut it down. But now I'm like, they actually have an opportunity to really, really challenge the top two. So you were right.
they just
But if
equalized,
they're
by the way.
home, okay, because if they're
So
home
it's
losing
three
now,
three right now.
then it makes no sense, because this could actually be a good year for them to just, because Barca, I mean, after Barca looked really, really good, now they're kind of back down to earth again.
Yeah,
Real looks kind of in shambles for, by their standards. This could be the year for like a third team to break through. A
absolutely.
third team that spent 90 million euros or pounds, whatever it was, on
Mm-hmm.
not quite what number 9.5
Yeah,
in the off season. It's called a great free kick in the Champions League, by the way,
yeah. And it's been
which is
good,
good.
to be fair to
It's been
him.
good,
He's
you
been
know.
good. But it's the
Yeah,
same problem with you've given a Ferrari to a truck driver. That's the way
yeah, that's the
that's
problem.
that's how the team looks like. Yeah.
All right.
Um anyway, it is
So
what it is.
we got a few questions on La Liga, both of them for Madrid. So let's
Yeah.
go. First, safe or not safe? Carlo Ancelotti. Go.
I think Carlo has earned the immunity, what do you want to call it? Whatever. It's the same thing with Pep. At this point, I, I it will be up to him to say, you know what, I want to walk away. I will be shocked if Madrid fire him.
Hmm.
I will be. And the only reason why I
I
say
won't
that,
be, but go on.
the only reason why I say that is I think he's earned that statesman kind of position. And frankly, I think the problem with Madrid right now is I think you would look at these people and say, I didn't really cause this problem. We
Hmm.
have a superstar who needs to grow, who needs to mature, who needs to grow up, right? And I'm managing egos right now. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, is he a good player? Yes, he's a good player. But is he the best team player? No, he's not. So you've thrown me a curveball. Yeah. And I'm having to juggle a curveball. Yes, I wanted a striker. You all wanted Mbappe. I'm not okay. Let me rephrase that. Any coach that tells you doesn't want Mbappe will be stupid, if you get what I mean.
And lying. They'll be lying.
I'm and line. But Mbappe right now is causing some restructuring. Both sides need to adjust. He himself needs to
Okay.
adjust. Does he have the maturity, the self awareness to do that? I don't know. So, in some
Okay.
games where the opposition is not that strong, it doesn't matter whether he's clicking or not.
Yeah.
His individual ability will see him through. But in the games where you
Mm.
have tough opposition, yeah, for example, the Liverpool game, Akin, oh God, come on, come on.
Mm.
It was like he wanted to be the man again. I'm like, oh, guy, you can't do this. You can't keep doing this every time. Play within the team. You don't necessarily have to be the one putting the ball in the back of the net. You don't have
Mm.
to. And when he missed that penalty in that game, I was like, this is not the kind of game where you should be missing penalties. But then
Mm.
Mo Salah then did the same and made us look like we didn't know what we are talking about. But going back, but going back to Mbappe, yeah, he needs to mature. So for me, I think Carlo's safe. I think he has earned it.
Okay.
I don't think they will fire him. Just like you said about Pep, if he's bored next
Mm.
season and is tired of babysitting Kylian, he can then up and say, guys, you know what? Let me just go enjoy my money in retirement safely.
So this one is not safe, and it will be gone. He might make it through the end of the season, likely make it through the end of the season, but he's not coming back next year. And the Real hierarchy is not the same as the City hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Ancelotti is not Pep.
Mm-hmm.
Ancelotti has been fired many times. Ancelotti has been fired pretty much from every job he's ever had. He doesn't really walk well, except Everton. He walked away. Every other job he got fired from. Right, so he has several priors on this front. They can
Fair
call it a
point.
retirement. They can call it easy enough. They can call it whatever. But the reality is, you have what, a top, how many top six Ballon d'Or? How many of them were on Real Madrid? And you're struggling. You shouldn't be struggling. Period. I don't care how many ACLs get torn in your defense. I don't care what happens to your goalkeeper. It does not matter, right? Every manager in the world would kill to coach Mbappe for 2 days, and then you have Vinny on top of him. He's gonna go. I love him, but he's done. The fact that I just can't imagine any other scenario where two of the top, I don't know, 5, even 10 players in the world show up on your team and your complaint is, oh, but they play the same position. Dude, this is why you're a manager. You're not a babysitter. Like, figure it out. So you're either like a great
Mm.
world-class manager or you're not. I don't want to hear the excuses. Figure it out. Figure out your system. You know what I mean? Like, so what? Like, so you're giving. I don't even know. You're giving me Messi and Ronaldo, and I'll be like, oh, too similar, too ball dominant. Are you crazy? I want both of them. I don't care. You know what I mean? You're giving me. I don't know. Name any two others. Drogba and somebody at the same time. I don't care. I want both of them. Then we'll figure it out. Or if you can't figure it out, send Mbappe to the bench.
Yeah.
And don't do it now. Do it 10 games ago. Figure it out. So nah, he's not safe. He's done. Yinka, should
Yes, sir.
Madrid get Mbappe off of spot kicks?
I think they should.
Okay, I
But the
agree.
question is, do they have the cojones to do that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I
I,
think they
I don't
must.
I don't I don't think so. And I
They
think
must.
what will happen is a situation where he'll pick up the ball and somebody else will go and say, "Give me the ball," and you see him say, "No, I'm not giving you the ball. I want to play,"
Mm, mm,
because this is
yeah.
something he can do. This is something he can do. Mbappe needs to grow up. He needs to mature. He is still behaving like I don't know. But to answer your question, absolutely yes. Get him off spot kicks, right? Save him from himself. Get him off spot kicks. And when there's a spot kick when it doesn't matter, where you're already
Mm,
5-0 up and is still on the
mm,
pitch, then give him that so that he can gain back his confidence. But right now, no, just get him off. Get someone else to play.
mm.
That's what I think.
Okay. All right. I agree. By the way, completely. Yinka, let's
Yes, sir.
shift quickly to the Premier League. There's a lot that's happened in the past 2 weeks. Um, you want to do a quick summary of where we are, and then we get into particular topics.
Yeah. So the Premier League um, is very, very interesting, unlike the
Mm,
Bundesliga. Um,
mm,
we all saw City rack up like 3 or 4 losses in a row.
mm-hmm,
They won a game weekend. Was it weekend? No, midweek. They won a game midweek, and
mm-hmm,
they drew the game yesterday. But at the top, Liverpool and Chelsea seem to be in the informed team. So I'm rocking a Chelsea jersey today because they did
mm,
me a solid by trouncing
mm-hmm,
the clowns at White Hart Lane
mm-hmm,
earlier on today. So Liverpool dropped points for the first time away to Newcastle. Newcastle is St James's Park is a very, very difficult place to go to. They went there, they were behind twice, and they came back. And at the point, they were actually going to get the 3 points from that game. If not for, it's not really an error. I think it was a judgmental mistake, kind of, by the goalkeeper. He thought the ball was going out.
mm.
I thought the ball was going out. Yeah. But Fabian Schär, slid, tapped the ball, and he scored. So I think Newcastle were very lucky to get a point from that game. So Liverpool dropped the point. So right now they have one loss, which was home to Forest, and 2 draws. Away to Arsenal, away to Newcastle. Chelsea, on the other hand, they've been banging in goals after goals.
Mm.
Um, they have 4 wins out of 5. Um, Arsenal are now third. Arsenal have 3 wins out of 5. Um, 3 wins, 2 draws. That is the draw away to Chelsea, and the draw earlier on today away to Fulham. So as the table stands, it's Liverpool on top with 35. Their game against Everton today was postponed because of bad weather. I heard there's a storm
There
in
was, yeah,
in
there was a storm in
Merseyside.
Wales or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. 90 miles
Merseyside.
an hour winds and stuff. Crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Liverpool 35, Chelsea 31, Arsenal 29, City 27, and surprisingly Nottingham Forest 25. Nottingham Forest went to
Mm.
United yesterday, by the way, and they won 3-2. They beat United. So that's the summary of what we missed in the EPL. So I think we start with specifics. What happened?
Yeah.
Leicester fired their manager, and they hired Ruud van Nistelrooy. Let's kick off with that. What's your take on that?
So, one, I'm very happy for Rude. I did not really care for him as a player. I'm not even going to lie. I'm an Arsenal fan. He was an irritant on Arsenal's biggest rivals at the time. I didn't really like his style of play. The inevitable comparisons will come between he and Henry. I think Henry was twice the player Rude was, but yeah. But I like him as a manager. I like his offensive philosophy. Again, when he was playing, I would never have pegged him for one to become a manager. I hope we can finally get away from this nonsense orthodoxy of attacking players don't make great managers or number nines don't make great managers. I don't know why people used to say that. It's ridiculous to me. Or even worse, that the most talented players cannot be great managers. I just don't believe it. I think
Yeah,
this is all like individual. You have to make the individual inquiry, right? So no matter how talented you are you willing to put in the work when you make the transition? That's how you
yeah.
become a great manager. It's not.
Even
It's not
before you make
whether
the transition, Aki. Not
exactly.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Even
e-
before, you have to
Exactly.
be a student
And
of the game. Yeah,
that's it. You took the words right out of my mouth. Like, you can't tell me right now, and it doesn't mean that you study the game that translates to you being a great coach. But in
absolutely,
this day and age, you cannot be a great coach without studying. You can study and not
absolutely.
be a great coach, and not end
Mm,
up being a great coach.
yeah,
Because I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm like, there is no, like, let me just give you an example. Gundogan is a good example, right? Like, I don't know if he ever wants to manage, or if even if you make a great manager, but it looks is super talented, is one of the best players in the world, at least in his prime. So to
Mm-hmm.
tell me that someone like that, because they have the talent and they have all these accolades or whatever, will not make a great manager, it's insane to me. Now, on the same team, I don't see managerial attributes in KDB, for example. And it's not because KDB is talented, it's because he doesn't speak. It's because he's a loner. It's because, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
when they voted for captain 2 seasons ago, I think he came like fourth or fifth in the voting. The players voted for Ruben Diaz before him, voted for Gundogan before him. So some of these things, it's your personality. I get it, but you
Yeah.
can do the work to overcome some of the personality stuff. But I'm going off tangent. I like Leicester doing this. I think it's crazy that you might be a club like Leicester, and you get 10 points in your first 11 matches, and you don't make a move. That is insane to me. You have to,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
takes like 2 seconds to get sucked into a relegation battle, and
Yeah.
they've just been recently relegated and promoted, right?
Yeah.
So you have to do it. You have to do it. Now, can he fix the defensive woes? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. But I know you might call it IGG, or we might call it IGG, initial
Yeah,
paragraph. But in 2 games, is 1-1, is he drew one earlier on today. They were down 2-0,
yeah,
and he came back and they I mean 2-2. The game ended 2-2.
yeah.
Atletico just scored, by the way.
Oh,
So
good,
they're
good. So
in in the ni-
some pressure on
in the
Real and
95th
Barca.
minute.
Yeah, I like it.
Um,
I'm happy for them.
Good. So going back to Ruud, I like the point you raised around
Mm,
strikers. This myth that strikers can be good
yeah.
coaches. It's complete nonsense. And I think why people see it that way is, when you're a striker, your job is, I don't want to say it's easy, but your job is simple. Yeah. You are at the receiving end of chances, right? You're not involved in, how people create chances for you. So people think the strikers are just there to put in the goals. They don't understand how it works from the back, right? They don't understand how it
Mm,
works in midfield. And also the goalkeeper being at the back sees everybody, and sometimes if they believe goalkeepers, because of that perception, they understand the game better than strikers. Yeah. But like you said, it's complete nonsense, because there are multiple
mm,
angles to being a manager. Forget the tactical side of things. 70% of being a manager is people management. Yeah.
mm,
It is people management. Yeah. I tell people work for people. People don't work for the club or work for the firm. Players play for coaches. They
mm,
don't necessarily play
mm,
for clubs or play for. You understand, right?
mm-hmm,
People will go the extra mile for the person rather than the club. It is what it is. Yeah, and that is um, basics of people management. Yeah.
mm,
So when people then say, "Oh, this striker cannot," I'm like, this guy isn't just a student of the game. He doesn't understand the game. If you strike, look at Thierry Henry. Thierry Henry will,
mm.
will turn out to be a very, very good coach. Zinedine Zidane is an offensive player. He's turned out to be a
Yep.
great coach. I
Who
mean,
also didn't speak. Who
who also
also
didn't
did not
speak.
speak.
He also didn't speak. So it is, and some people don't even kick. They've not kicked the ball once in their lives, and they're great coaches. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm,
it is all about your understanding of the game, right? Understanding of how football is evolving, and your understanding of how you don't disrespect opponents. Yeah, you
mm,
look at your
mm,
opponents, you look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and you adapt. You adapt your team to take advantage of that. Yeah.
mm.
So going specifically to Ruud, I'm happy for him. Like you also, I never liked him as a Man U player, but as a striker, he was maniacal about scoring goals.
Hmm.
He is the kind of person, he's not interested in. I mean, if you ask me, any which has there been any player that surprised you in terms of how calm and how good they might turn out to be as a coach? I think will be Rude,
Mm.
because while Rude was playing, Rude had no business. It was an 18-yard box striker, if you
Yep.
get what I mean. He wasn't the most skillful. He was just sharp. He could shoot, and he was quite passionate about scoring goals. But I'm happy for him. I think he has. He's calm. He knows what he's doing, and I'm happy for Leicester. I think this should propel them out of the relegation battles. But I think that's all it's gonna be. Let's keep our fingers crossed and see how it goes. Okay.
All right, all right. Let's keep going. Our friends at Man United hired a new coach. Yinka, how's that going so far for them?
Okay. So the first couple of games, right? Okay. Let's talk about Amorim first. I like the
Okay,
guy. Yeah,
okay,
I liked him as a player. For Portugal.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and the great job he's done that he did at Sporting Lisbon is beginning to unravel. Sporting have not won a game since he left, and they've played like 4 or 5 games. Both home and away, they've been losing, not drawn. They've been losing games. Um, so, I mean that might be an indication of maybe he was the reason why they were doing what they're doing, or maybe the players are not happy with that he left, or they're not happy with the new guy that they have in there. Either way you dice it, it speaks positively to Amorim's impact on the sporting team. But since he got to United, let's look at the games they've played since he landed. His first game was, I can remind me, that was away to Ipswich, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, and Rashford scored within the first minute.
Yeah, so they drew that game 1-1. Then
Okay.
in the Europa League, they played FK Bodo Glimt. They won 3-2 that game. Then they beat Everton 4-0 last week. And the whole United fan base went crazy, and they were dubbing the guy the next Alex Ferguson, the next, that this guy is, this is the first time United will score 4 goals in the game without conceding any. Even one of our friends who denounced United all of a sudden came out and said, "Oh, I'm happy." You know who I'm talking about?
Of course.
He came out and he was like, "Now we are back." And I'm like, where have you been? This same guy jumped ship. He started supporting City instead of United. But all of a sudden they scored 4 and they were happy. Then the next game was against Arsenal. And they lost the game, which was Amorim's first tough game. A lot of people said or had the opinion that the way he lined up against Arsenal wasn't that good. That he planned to be defensive from the get go, and he didn't come to attack Arsenal because he didn't start Diallo, he didn't start Rashford. So a lot of people complained, and he started 3 at the back and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I watched that game, not really fully, but I watched it a bit. And in the first half, what I noticed was the fact that United controlled the game. Let's be fair. They controlled the game. And by me controlling the game, I mean they stopped Arsenal from playing. They did. Yeah? And that was his plan. If they had a counter-attack goal, it would have been worse. Yeah? So they weren't really doing anything with the ball, but they were stopping Arsenal from doing anything with the ball. So they just came to frustrate. And I'm like, see, I appreciate that. I love coaches that plan for opponents. I love it. I don't like a coach that says, I'll play to my strength, which is the problem we had with Wenger. I'll play to my strength and I don't care what the opponent does. In this case, the guy actually came with a game plan. What messed him up was he didn't have the tools to fully implement the game plan. Because United's defending on set pieces is atrocious. So it's a situation where the horrible defending meets a team that is quite good, in set pieces. So the fact that Arsenal scored 2 set piece goals, it doesn't turn Arsenal into a Stoke City or whatever people were saying. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a bit more later. But Arsenal won the game, and everybody thought that was just a minor hiccup. that United will bounce back. Only for Forest to come to Old Trafford, and Forest played them off the park. I'm sorry, Forest were the better side, and Forest beat them 3-2. Once again, a set piece goal. In fact, a set piece goal, a mistake by Bruno gave the ball. Onana, I told you, is a mistake waiting to happen, an accident waiting to happen. I told you that there's no difference between De Gea and Onana. One is just white and the other is black. That's it. Onana messed up, and the third goal was also a defensive blunder. Now they've lost. Now they have 2 goals. I mean, they have 2 games back to back that they've lost. But Amorim said something. He said, we're a great team, we're a great club, but we are not a great team for now.
He's right.
And that is, he couldn't have said it better. He couldn't have. United have a bunch of very, very, very average players. I'm sorry to say it, but that is the truth. Yeah? Only few United players. If you take the WNBA, the Valkyries, the Golden State Valkyries just started, and they're like, okay, you're a new team. You need to pick a player each from all the teams in the NBA. Yeah. So teams made players available for them. Yeah. If we do the same today, a lot of teams in the EPL will not touch some United players.
I would agree.
They'll probably pick only 5 out of them or 6 out of them. And the people you think they will pick are not the people they will pick. People will pick Diallo before they pick Rashford. But Rashford is the one on 300 and something thousand pounds per week, and Diallo is collecting peanuts. You see my point? So they are a great club, but right now they're not a great team. I like the fact that he said that, and if I were him, I'll be saying that a lot more. I will be saying that a lot more, so that the hierarchy know that this crop of players you have, they're not gonna cut it. So it is one of 2 things. So that would develop our players to get to the level they need to be at, or we go into the market and we're smart with the acquisitions that we make. But it's their call. But I like the hire for them. I hope the hierarchy support him. Yeah. And I know he's a no-nonsense guy. I know a lot of people will be asked to leave the club. But let's see how it goes. But United fans should just calm down a bit. Yeah. You're not going to turn around overnight with this guy. You're not going to. Yeah. Give him time. He will come out good. How good it will be, I don't know, because everybody is also getting better, right? Yeah. Look at the whole league. The whole league is improved, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my take on Amorim so far.
Okay.
So far, fair enough, but they should give him time.
Okay. So, in the entire EPL, maybe in the entire world, no group of fans annoy me more than the Arsenal fan base, right? I think Arsenal fans might be Arsenal. Yeah, I didn't stutter.
Okay.
Arsenal fan base. They are loud, obnoxious, irrational. Vacillate from one extreme opinion to another. I can't stand Arsenal fans, just in general, writ large, in general. The worst, right? Delusional. I mean, we deserve everything that we get, right? Online and offline, right? Just absolutely obnoxious. But United fans are worse. United fans are worse. And they actually do not deserve happiness, in my opinion. I like this guy. I think it's too good for them. I think that's the problem, right? So, your favorite pundit in the world, Gary Neville, is in the US this weekend. So he's in our studio. He's in the NBC studio with Tim Howard and Rebecca Lowe. So he was saying that they record how many miles you run and all that during games.
Yeah.
United as a squad are 16th 16th out of how many teams are there in the Premier League? 20?
20
They're
teams.
16th in miles run, in distance covered. They do not work hard. Okay? They're like a bunch of Aubameyangs. That, you know what I mean? They don't run. They don't, the grit isn't there. The effort isn't there. And sadly, the talent isn't there either. So remember my favorite sports quotes. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Work hard.
So you don't even have talent to start with. I don't like Bruno Fernandes. I'm not a fan. I don't like these relics who only play one side of the ball. Like your striker should start your defensive press. It's 2024. This is not 1984. You don't get to coast anymore. The game has changed. Okay? These crazy coaches like Pep have changed the game completely. And Yinka I'll come back to Man U, but real quick, I've been telling you ever since we started this and before we started this, that Pep doesn't buy the best players in the world. He doesn't buy the best players available. He doesn't. And now that he has injuries, it's showing. There's not that much talent at Man City at the highest level. What he just has is he has a lot of players that are suited to his system. They're not absolutely the best players there are in the world. That's never been his thing. I was saying this while he was winning, by the way. So this is not an opportunistic thing. I was saying this while he was winning 4, 5, and 6 EPL titles. Now, again, if you did the let's make everybody available today, yes, people will buy Haaland. But how many people are buying Bernardo Silva? They didn't want him when Pep was going for him. They weren't competing for Bernardo Silva. Pep buys players to fit a system. And now that everybody is injured and or old, like Walker, he doesn't know what to do because his players are not absolutely the best players in the world. Haaland, yes. KDB, yes. Everybody else, no. No. So the reason, and I'm jumping around a little bit, we sit here today, I'm still telling you that my favorite to win the title is Arsenal, is because it's a 38-game season and I don't trust any of these fools for 38 games. As they say, I don't trust them as far as I can throw them, because it's 38 games, and again, it's how do you prosecute the first third of the game, the second third of the game, the last third of the game. How are you people laugh at Arteta when he talks about, oh, you got to win your duels or your duels. That's what I'm saying. At Man U, they don't win any duels. They don't go into tackles. You have the short, center back in the back who actually tries to do something, but then he gets a yellow card all the time. It was comical watching Maguire try to progress the ball yesterday, Yinka. It was comical. And I'm like, I watch more Arsenal than I watch any other team, right? I'm like, Maguire compared to Gabriel is like me trying to solve a math problem versus my 5-year-old boy trying to solve a math problem. It was comical. I'm like, this guy's wasn't it Man U captain?
Yep.
It was scared to advance the ball, Yinka. It was scared to progress the ball. It's like his body is here, but his brain is in 1962 football. Where the defenders don't get past the center circle. So they have everyone on that team has to go. I think for Amorim to be successful, he can only keep maybe 4, max 5, the entire squad. I'm not talking of the first 11.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm crazy, look at his cousin, okay, from Spain, Mikel Arteta, 5 years ago. So look at the squad Arteta inherited. Look at who he has. Oh, no, not even now. Look at who he had 2 years ago. Look at what he did in 3 years. If Amorim keeps more than 5 people over the next 2-3 years, he didn't come to win. He came to pad his CV and make some money.
I
Because
agree with you.
there are not more than 4 or 5 players that could be on a championship winning team on this team. This is not a good team at
So,
all.
Akin, you know this. I know
Yeah.
this. Amorim knows this. I'm not sure what United hierarchy think. One, and I don't think United fans also understand this. Yeah.
Mm,
What you just said right now, I 1000% agree with you. That
mm,
squad is not good enough.
mm,
There's so much imbalance in that squad. You said
mm.
Maguire can't progress the ball. Aki Maguire can't defend. Let's for, ball progression is advanced level for defenders. Do your primary job. He can't defend. Arsenal's first goal, the free kick, the guy was doing like this, like a traffic
Mm,
warden in the 18-yard box. Arsenal players ran by him. The ball was in the net
mm,
and he was looking confused. I'm like, what are you doing? Second goal also, 3 Man U defenders were marking themselves.
mm,
They were marking themselves, and Saliba was in front of them. And the ball hit
mm.
Saliba and went into the net. Akin,
Oh yeah.
these guys are not good enough at all. Going back to your point, I will not, in that United backline, no player. The only teams that will be interested in anybody in the United backline outside of the top 6 will be teams outside of the top 6. Them Leicester, these guys are not up to the standard that is required of United. But I see this, you see this. Akin, you listen to United fans. It's
Mm,
like they're living in a bubble. They don't, and I'm like, see, forget this banter. Forget, oh, he's an Arsenal fan. No, let's talk football here. We watch games. We know, yeah. These guys are not good
mm,
enough. They're not good enough. So will they give Amorim the same leeway, the same room to wiggle like Arteta was given at Arsenal? I don't know. Will they give him the same support? Will they give him the same authority to tell a Rashford, like Arteta told an Aubameyang that, Oga, you're gone? Will they have?
mm,
Will they give him the same authority to do that? These are the more pertinent questions, which I can't answer right now. And for the
mm.
sake of United, I want to hope they can do that for him and support him. But if he doesn't get that support, like you said, he's just going to collect his money and move. He will.
Yeah.
He
They may
will.
not deserve him, Yinka. They may not deserve him. So again, Yinka, like there are times when I would say in our, 4.5 decades in this world, both of
Mm-hmm.
us, I think we've seen like this big kind of seismic shifts in coaching philosophy and in the evolution of football. Maybe every 5 to 7 years, it's happening more frequently now, right?
Yeah.
And you can almost point to it, the Johan Cruyff, era, right? And then
Yeah.
everybody tries to copy it, and then it gets duplicated. Before him, it was, the Brazil of, the 50s, 60s, and even 70s, and then of course, the Italians were doing their own thing where they just, we talked about this in the past,
Yeah.
was it Juventus or AC Milan? Juventus, that won the league. Well, no, it was AC Milan. Fabio Capello's AC Milan
Fabio.
won the
Yeah.
league once, not averaging 1 goal a game. They literally won the Serie A title without averaging a goal a game. Not averaging a goal a game conceded, a goal a game scored.
Scored.
They didn't score 1 goal a game. So there was that going, but nobody really wanted to follow that because one, it was boring and they didn't know how.
Yeah.
Right. So you're more likely to propagate, a coaching philosophy if it's progressive, if he, if he yields more goals, if it's pleasing to the eye. Everybody wanted to be like Chelsea, but nobody wanted to be like Chelsea when Mourinho was there. You know what I mean? They wanted the
Yeah.
trophies, but they didn't want the football. The football was boring.
Yeah.
Right? And frankly, they didn't know how to defend. Mourinho got players who were fat, like Joe Cole, to play defense. He got players who are fat, like Joe Cole, to run. You know, he got people to get in shape. He got people to understand space. He got people to understand tactics. And this, we know now that Frank Lampard is not a smart tactician. But look at what Mourinho got out of it. But there's only one Mourinho. No one was able to duplicate that. And it took the world, a decade to come to terms with it?
Yeah.
So now Pep has done something. There's facsimiles of Pep all over the place. No one really does it as well as he does. So now Man U got their own Pep. And I'm happy to say it. I actually do think Amorim is the real deal. I'm not going to disparage him in any way. And people might say it's just Portugal. When he got there, Sporting hadn't won the championship in 19 years. When he got there.
Yeah.
In 19 years. Braga had won in that time. Boavista, I believe, had won in that time. Sporting
Benfica, Porto
had not won.
Yeah.
So, and then he won 2 in 3 years. So no, I won't do the it's just Portugal thing. And he knocked Arsenal out of the Europa League. So this guy is the real deal. He knows what he's doing. They don't deserve him. And we'll come back, we'll play this clip back when the inevitable breakup happens. Because Man U are the club in England that are most like Bayern Munich. It's about the machine. It's really not about excellence.
Yeah.
Or for them, they want excellence, but they think it should come through the institution. And that's the problem. So
now,
we'll see.
Their next 2 games, Aki.
Man City.
Away to City, away to Spurs. Away to City, away to Spurs in 4 or 5 days.
They could win both. They could win both. No, because City just drew at Crystal Palace, and Pep had the audacity, the unmitigated gall, to get to his presser and complain about injuries. And I'm like, let me get this straight. You're away to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, there's literally no one on Crystal Palace right now except Eberechi Eze that will start on a Pep team, no matter how injured Pep's teams are. Eberechi Eze is the only one that will start.
Will make the bench. Let me say
maybe make the bench. And you want to complain? I'm like, you want to complain about injuries?
So, Akin, this just tells you, and I said this the last time. For a long time, it didn't happen to him or to these teams. And when he did, because he didn't, they'll say, oh, no excuse. That's why you have a squad. Oh, no excuse, right? He's right. The injuries affect him. Don't get me wrong. But, dude, you don't have the right to say anything because in the past, your fan base and every other person has said, nah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's why you have a squad. Yeah? But if you really look at it, who's really injured in City apart from Rodri right now?
Well, now it's a little better, right? But the problem was they had several injuries before. Doku is back now.
But the Crystal Palace game, the only person that I can think of that didn't play that game will be Rodri and Kovacic. Kovacic and Rodri will not start together. It's either one or the other. So you didn't have a defensive midfielder. That's the only missing thing. So your excuse with the injury was for the past 4 or 5 games. That particular match, you didn't have an injury excuse. Your lineup looked decent enough to beat. I can pull up the lineup. Your lineup was decent enough to beat Crystal Palace. That's my point. So I agree with you. Pep is just spiraling. Same thing with City.
Yeah.
Right. Will he or can they come out of it? Of course they can. But people should stop all these. Oh, injuries don't matter. Of course they do. Anyway.
So okay. All right. So Inka, in the spirit of moving on quickly, let's segue into Liverpool. I have a lot to say about this, but I'm gonna let you go. I love how you crafted it. So for our viewers watching, Yinka writes our agenda every week and sends it, to me to look it over, and then I write the description of the episode after we record the episode.
Yep.
So so that's kind of how we tag team it. This is what Yinka wrote for this one. Slot machine survived the difficult week. Big deal or not. I really like this. I like the slot machine. I'm gonna steal it. I'm gonna use it. So I'm gonna start. Let me start, then I'll pass it to you, then I'll take it back after.
Go forward.
I
Go ahead.
love Arne Slot. This is not about Arne Slot. I like him. He's doing a great job. His demeanor is perfect. I love coaches who put in work. I love coaches who had no excuses, who take a guy that everyone said couldn't defend and somehow makes him part of the stingiest defense in the league. I'm talking of Trent and Alexander-Arnold. The geniuses coaching England try to move him into midfield because he was such a defensive liability. And you know how much I love Klopp. Klopp just pretended that it was a defensive liability. He pretended, that it was not a defensive liability. He just pretended. And every winger in the world facing this guy was licking their lips in anticipation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now we're at a point where new guy who just met him 2 seconds ago has found a way to get him playing his best ball. He's still offensively amazing. And now he can actually defend. And I don't just mean some kind of nonsense zone defense thing. No. He's getting the ball early. He's being aggressive without overcommitting. He's understanding space. So for me, I think a lot of the casual football fan doesn't know how to evaluate coaching. They just go to wins and losses, right? I hope I can say this and be, and it's accurate. I think you and I see beyond that. It's not just the wins and losses.
No.
Like last season, we said the 3 teams that were relegated, they had 2 of the best coaches in the league.
Yep.
Because of what they had to work with. So this man can coach. I don't care what talent you give to him. There's work being done on the training pitch, and you can see it. Konate is another example. I won't get into it because I already gave him his flowers, as you like to say. Everyone has improved. Szoboszlai is the one I was a little, concerned about because he was on the bench for like 4 games. And then he comes out last week and has the game of his life. So I'm like, okay, nothing to worry about here. Kelleher, we knew was a great goalkeeper. For me, he's not a backup. He's a number 1 on, I don't know, 10
he's a national
the 20
team
teams.
Goalkeeper.
So absolutely. He's really that good.
Once you're a national team goalkeeper, that's my yardstick.
It's not a backup. So this man can coach. This is not about him. Right? You know what this is about? This is a 38 game season. And I think Pep and City have spoiled us. They've changed the expectation. I told you I went and looked at, 20 years of EPL or however 25, however many years it is. And there were years where 79 points won the league, 85 points won the league. But now we've expected that, hey, you can't play the first 13, 15 games and lose 3 times. You can never be champions. Nonsense. This is not an absolute test. It's a relative test. They don't test you against the City team of 5 years ago. They test you against who is playing right now. Let me just come out and say it right now. We're gonna go back to Liverpool. Chelsea is not about to win anybody's Premier League. Everybody needs to calm down. It is not going to happen. They are not Leicester. 2 different people. Stop it right now. 2 different people have compared them to Leicester today, and it got me sick to my stomach. Like, why are we doing this thing? Like, Leicester played really well, but other teams had to conspire to hand them the title. Arsenal being chief of them. City decided they were just going to take that year off. Spurs was Spursing all over the place. Chelsea were in, I don't know, 10th place or whatever, wherever they were that year. So things had to happen. They were good. Yes, they were very good. We know in hindsight that, Conte was world class, all of that stuff. Mahrez was really good. But other teams had to give them the title on top of how good they were, on top of having a great manager. So please miss me with the Chelsea are contenders thing. Nonsense. They're not contenders. So I go back again to there are three teams that can win this title. It's Arsenal, it's City, and it's Liverpool. And Arsenal have the best squad of the three. I don't know how many times I got to say it. The best squad doesn't always win. Form matters. They got to get their form right. But if you're telling me Liverpool and Arsenal will play each other neutral ground 10 times, and I need to put my hard-earned money on it, I'm putting my money on Arsenal to win 6 or 7 times. That's who has the better squad. I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about no Liverpool. Everyone needs to calm down. So they survived the difficult week. Yes. Whoop-ty freaking do. They won some games. It's 38 games in the league, Yinka. The blip will come. And I'm not worried about, they went to Newcastle, blah, blah, blah. They dropped points. They were always going to drop points. Nothing is guaranteed. Arsenal are not leaving the city of London in the month of December. This is now their own time to rack up points. Yeah, they messed up today, but that could easily have been 2-1 on a day they didn't even play well. The offside was by what? A toe? A tiny, small toe? You know what I mean? And they didn't play well. Arsenal did not play well at all. And they almost won. It's 38 games. We're now officially a third of the way through. Everyone needs to calm down. There is so much to play for. So yes, I love Arne Slot. I think Liverpool have some good players. I think Salah has never had a 38-game season where he was great in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. I think no one has stepped up yet in the front line to even remotely match what he's doing. I think the difference between this team and Klopp's team is the midfield. Klopp used to bypass the midfield and just go from wing backs to the three attackers. The attackers are not great. Salah is great. The attackers have not been great. The midfield is very good. But they're more workman-like than creative. Let's keep it real. And the defense has been spectacular. And frankly, I would keep Kelleher. I would bench, what's his face, Alisson, whenever he came back. I would bench him and just keep him moving. So this team is formidable. I don't expect them to collapse. This is more about how I feel about this Arsenal team. And you know why? Because they work on everything. I respect work, Yinka. This is not about talent necessarily. This is about work. I respect work. They work tirelessly on everything. And that's also why I know City will be fine. City may still win this title.
Yeah.
In a pinch, if you really want me to make I'm not sure Liverpool finishes ahead of City. And they're like 18 million points ahead of them right now. I still trust them more than I trust Liverpool. Okay, that's my take.
Okay, so I'll make mine fast. Just to say a couple of things.
Because mine wasn't. Go for it.
So what you said about Slot, I totally agree with. Yeah. The renaissance of some players has shown me that he's a fantastic coach. You missed the most important one, Ryan Gravenberch. Gravenberch was a bottom barrel, ignored player on the club, right? And right now, this guy is turned into a defensive midfield stalwart, all of it. I thought it was a blip to start the season. This guy is Liverpool's most consistent player outside of Salah. He's been that good. Yeah? So Slot's fantastic coach. Why I believe this is a big deal, and I'll say, yeah, those 3 games, at the beginning of those 3 games, they had asked Liverpool that what would be your expectations for these 3 games? If somebody had told them you will only draw away to Newcastle, you will beat City, you will beat Madrid before those 3 games started, and you will come out with no injuries, you will be fine, they will take it. So for me, it's a W for them. Because for me, those group of fixtures was meant to be the banana peel week. They have another one coming at the end of the season where they have, games stacked up that were troublesome games back to back to back to back to back. Home to Madrid, home to City, away to Newcastle is one of the 2 banana peels that they have, right? Now, the fact that they came and they only dropped 2 points out of everything, I think we should give them credit for that. Yeah. Now, here is the thing. I hear what you say about the season being early, blah 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 blah. I don't think this is a function, and why I'm not as whatever as you are. I don't think
Okay.
this is about Liverpool at all. I think it's about the other teams.
That's interesting. That
I
is
think it's
interesting.
about the other teams, and it goes to the point. So, for example, see the game today that Arsenal played. That's my concern. See the game today that Chelsea played. Yeah, Chelsea, although you say they're second right now. So for the sake of, I agree with you, but for the sake of where we
Who
are
were
right
they
now,
playing? Who
they
were they
played
playing?
Spurs and they won
Okay.
and they won 4-3.
Second time Spurs went up 2-0 at home and lost the game. First time was to Brighton. Keep going.
But let me hear my point.
I'm listening.
So it is what I'm seeing in the way teams are playing that I am concerned about, not necessarily how Liverpool is. So I've ignored Liverpool. I'm saying you are the chasing pack. You need to be perfect. Yeah? So that you can, when they slip up, you can catch up with them. Looking at the whole chasing pack right now, the only person that has that killer instinct or that perfection, right, for me would have been Arsenal. So you've had 3 games in a row where you've been beating people. Then you go to Fulham and you go lay an egg at Fulham. That's
Absolutely.
my problem.
Okay.
That's where I'm coming from. The atrocious game Arsenal had today is no way that should be happening. No way. So it's not Liverpool. It's the chasing pack that I'm worried about. Yes, Liverpool will drop points, but will the chasing pack will they take advantage of it? I don't think so. That's my point. That's it, right? And mind you, Liverpool, you said something about their strikers. Gakpo has been okay.
It's been
Darwin Nunez has been crap. But you and I know one of the most clinical strikers in the league is Diego Jota. If Jota is fit, he's starting up front with Salah. Jota has been off, he's been injured for a long time. Yeah? So they still have Jota coming back. Right? Konate is injured, he'll be out for a while. But even see the people that are coming in to fill in, they are playing well and they're in form, and their coach is galvanizing, and moving them along. And so Liverpool will not be perfect all through. Yes, they will drop. The question is, do you trust this chasing pack to take advantage? That's it.
All right. May I?
Yeah.
So I trust City and I trust Arsenal. Because again, for me, the best indicator of what's going to happen in the future is what just happened in the most recent past. At some point, you got to adjust for how long it's been since you did
points to Fulham. Dropping points to Fulham.
And guess what? Last season, Arsenal went to Fulham.
Dropping points to Crystal Palace. The City dropping points to Crystal Palace away.
All of that is true. All of that. Last season, Arsenal went to Fulham. Fulham, I think, who scored first? I can't remember. I think
Saka scored first, then Fulham scored 2 goals.
And then they scored 2 goals. Okay, so it was a loss. And then after that, Arsenal found their way. And they went on a away run that we talked about many, 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 many times last season.
Yeah.
Arsenal's away form right now is in the toilet.
Yes, it is.
It's now in the last six matches away. Arsenal have dropped 12 points. So they're averaging 1 point a game. They're averaging a draw on every away trip this season. You cannot win the league doing that. But I'm saying they will not keep doing that. That's my thing. So, but I hear you. I don't want to overflog this. I don't know if we know any City fans who watch us. Calm down. You still have the deepest, most experienced. City will be very fine. You know, it's amazing what a cluster of 3-point games would do for your position on the table.
Yeah.
You know, it would just go like this. You know, obviously, if Arsenal had won today, it'll be 4 points to Liverpool. You know, so I'm not worried about any of this. Like, water, we always find its level. Not worried about it. And what I'm disagreeing with people on is Liverpool's level. You know, I think that's what I'm disagreeing on. So from an absolute point of view, I don't think they're great. I think they're good, and I love their coach. I don't think they're great, but we shall see. Let's move on.
Yeah,
we're moving on, but only slightly.
Yes.
Is Salah the greatest player to ever grace the Premier League? I know you don't drink, but did you start drinking when you wrote this? You know, did someone spike your drink or something?
I saw this. This popped up on my feed where someone said, in terms of stats, right, goals and assists and all, that Salah has more or less equaled Thierry Henry's record. Yeah,
I saved it.
You saved it, right?
I think I saved it. Yeah, I saved it. So as of last week, as of the I don't know about the midweek, maybe as of the midweek actually.
Yeah,
they had both played 370 times for their respective clubs in 8 seasons. They had both scored the exact amount of goals, 226. So 370 games, 226, and Salah had 8 more assists, 101 to 93. So in terms of minutes per goal, Salah was better by 2.1 minutes.
Yeah.
And in terms of minutes per goal or assist, Salah was better by 3.9. 3.9. Yeah. So I saw another one that backed out penalties, and Henry was a little better without penalties. Whatever
penalties
it is.
It's part of the game. So
but this is good.
So this is where that's what I saw, and you and I, we've graced Henry as the greatest player we've ever seen in the Premier League, right?
Yes, so, because he is.
Because he is, yeah. So this is now, for me, I said we should talk about this because, when we did the most underrated players, I think Salah has Salah as number 1, yeah?
we both agree.
We had Salah as number 1. I think the disrespect he gets, right, is just too much. It is too much. But, yeah, is he now the greatest player to ever grace the Premier League? For me, no. Yeah? Because based on what you say, context matters. Yeah?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I said this a couple of years back. I think any Liverpool fan that looks at him and don't put him at the same level with what's his name? With Kenny Dalglish. I think he has eclipsed John Barnes, Ian Rush, all those other Stevie Gerrard. I think he's eclipsed those guys right now. The only person that he probably, you can argue that because of the iconic situation, blah blah blah. Only Dalglish for me, only Dalglish, and I even think he's probably at par with Dalglish right now, because the disrespect is getting with the fact that he's not been given a contract or he's not been offered a new contract. But I heard Liverpool have put something on the table today or yesterday, or I don't know. But for me, that is quite disrespectful. So yes, pardon me, I don't think he's better than Henry. I don't think he's greater than Henry. Yeah, I doubt it. Anyone will be, in my own eyes, at least in the Premier League. I don't think anyone will be. But yeah, Salah he's just something else. And how old is he right now? 30.
How old is Salah?
30, 33, 34, I guess. the way
Well, Salah is 32.
32, the way he's playing, he's like he's not that age. Father time is not catching up with him, Akin.
Yeah,
He plays like a younger player than some of the other Liverpool guys that you have in there. Yeah,
absolutely.
he
Absolutely.
does. He does, and he's pushing them forward this season. I give him all the accolades, but is he the greatest in my opinion? Nah.
Okay. I would agree. 1,000% is obviously not. I kind of like, I showed my hand a little bit when I was reading out the question. Let me put it this way. I think as many accolades as he gets is still grossly underrated, right? I think it's
Yeah.
grossly underrated. And this may be a personal bias of mine because Steven Gerrard is one of my favorite players,
Same here.
ever, right? One of my ever. I think you said context matters. I'll double click on that. Gerrard wasn't blessed to play for an extended period on great Liverpool teams. They had great moments.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they never had a great team.
Mm-hmm.
The Champions League finals and Champions League winning sides that he played on were not great teams. They were teams, they had Jerzy Dudek in goal. That's a joke. That's a joke. Even in real time, we thought it wasn't good.
Yeah.
Jamie Carragher is nobody's legend. Let's stop the madness. Is nobody's legend. He used to piss himself when Henry showed up, and he will still say it till today.
Yeah.
Nobody's legend. So Steven Gerrard was like a one-man machine, and I wish he had played longer with Alonso. With Xabi Alonso, but for me, that partnership was not long enough. So I say all that to say, I'm still not sure that Salah is above Gerrard, but that's an academic argument, right?
Yeah.
Is in the pantheon, right? And to me, it doesn't have to do anything more to technically eclipse anyone else. Ian Rush, Kenny Dalglish, Steven Gerrard, put him there, call it a day, right?
Yeah.
They're in the pantheon. If someone else comes around, expand the pantheon. You know what I mean? What bothers me is VVD got a contract offer allegedly before Salah did. That's disrespectful, right? There's a lot of Liverpool fans who think VVD is the better player than Salah. So I'm not the problem. The problem is Liverpool fans who disrespect Mo Salah.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly.
Yeah,
I think you said it perfectly.
So I'm not the problem. Henry is not his problem either.
It's not his problem either. Some people go as far as saying VVD is one of the greatest defenders to grace the Premier League ever.
I think so. But
let's pump the brakes. Let's take it easy. So Rio Ferdinand said something. He says a lot of stuff that we and I disagree with. But I saw him say something the other day. He said, when I was playing, when I walk onto the pitch, I'm facing some players. So he started listing them out. R9, Zlatan, Batistuta, Thierry Henry. Crespo. He reeled out all those strikers. I said, in the league and in Champions League, this was what I was facing on a weekly.
Drogba.
Now, look at this current crop of defenders. Who are they facing? That is really scary. Jackson, Kai Havertz. So he kept on, and I'm like, okay, this guy has a point. Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that the only person that you can probably say is comparable to those people then, not even from a skill standpoint, but because of the machinery that supports him, is Haaland.
Yeah.
These guys ain't facing, and it's not a current thing for the past 5 years. Tell me the Premier League striker that you see and you are, what's his name? The Chelsea captain that played for England, John Terry. John Terry used to say that he had nightmares before he played Henry.
Of course.
Nightmares. And it wasn't only Henry. That time you had Dwight York, you had Andy Cole, you had It was
Shearer before them.
Shearer before then. You see what I'm saying?
Yinka, if Defoe played today,
Whoa.
bruh, if Defoe played today,
Today.
you know what.
It
Let me
goes
not
back. If
disrespect Defoe.
Darren Bent played
Thank you.
today.
You can't get out of my brain. I was literally about to say, let me not disrespect Defoe. Let me step it down and go to Darren Bent. Yinka, Darren Bent will score 35 league goals. Not in all competitions, 35 league goals. Because it was lethal. Again, never blessed to play in a great team, but there's no striker outside of Holland better than Darren Bent today.
None.
And it was, when it was playing, it was maybe like the 10th best, maybe 7th.
So you see where when I say context matters, yeah. So Van Dijk, let's pump the brakes. I like Van Dijk, but please, guys, let's calm down. Let's be calming down, like they say.
So okay, slight pushback on that,
yes,
right? Because I think on this one you can look at what is their absolute ability, and then what's their relative greatness. And I'm using greatness. I don't like using greatness. I'm using it on purpose. I know it's nebulous, right?
That's fine.
I'm like, what can he do? Like Vincent Kompany would have been great in any era. His problem was health. Yeah. Van Dijk would have been great in any era. So it's the calmness. It's the, I can take the ball on my chest at any time. I don't care. It's the, I can kick you and the referee will still, not card me because of the way I carry myself. The referee would just assume that I got the ball legally. So it's that, it's the stuff he can do with the ball, his size, his composure. So I think from an absolute,
what you're saying, and I hear you. What you're saying just gives him a ticket to the party. Yeah, doesn't make him the prom king. No,
no. That's fair. That's fair.
That's it.
That's fair.
Same thing with Saliba, Rolls Royce defender, calm, blah blah blah. It gives him a ticket. That doesn't mean he's. Come on, guys, let's pump. Let's really pump the brakes. Because when Rio said that, I was like, he has a point. He hardly doesn't, but in this case, he does. He has a point.
And you know who is to blame for all this? You know who is to blame for all this?
Who?
It's Pep.
I know you were going to say Pep.
But it's Pep, though. Pep started this false nine nonsense.
But I can pause. In world football today,
yes,
the quality of strikers, every club is looking for a 9. People are struggling. It's between Gyökeres, Isak. Where are the strikers?
But why?
It is just it's. See, I think football is evolving. Yeah.
Okay.
And these days, even you look at Isak wants to be like, the ball playing. People are not that maniacal about scoring goals anymore. I don't know why. See, Vardy has that.
You do know why. You do know why.
So why? Please tell me.
You do know why.
Coaches don't coach this anymore or what? I don't get it.
And why? Okay, Yinka, everything feeds into everything else. This is what I mean, right? What was the greatest Messi and Pep team? Was the 08-09 team.
Yeah,
right?
The back team.
Okay. 08-09 would put us where? 16
Yeah, 16
15
years ago.
to 16 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a full cycle in the academy. That's how many cycles is that in the academy? And so when did the false 9 thing start with Messi? Rijkaard left. Pep came in.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like Eto'o. Brought in Ibrahimovic. So let's say the 3rd season of Pep. It was right around that time. It's like, I don't like these people. I'm just gonna put Messi. So that's about 15 years. And this is a copycat game. It's a copycat league. And then everybody started saying, you know what? Look at what they did to Ibrahimovic. And then when Eto'o got to Inter, what did Mourinho do to him? Shunted him to the left. This is a guy who's been scoring goals since he was 15 at the highest levels. They shunted him to the left. They put Milito in the middle, who wasn't as skillful, blah, 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 blah. What message are you sending? And then that was the end of the great striker, in my opinion. So I don't know what they're doing in Scandinavia, but it's not lost on me that everybody you counted as being a good striker right now is from Scandinavia. It's Isak, it's Gyökeres, and it's Holland. So they must still be coaching something out there that nobody else is coaching, because there are no great strikers or great striker. Højlund too. There's no great striker prospects anywhere outside of Scandinavia right now. There's a reason for this, Yinka. It's not coincidental.
It's just I mean, then you had Crespo, Batistuta, Adriano. The guys that what they're just interested in is the art of scoring goals.
Yes,
That's all. They didn't care about Inzaghi that was born in an offside position. Marcelo Silas, Zoom Zamorano. You had plenty people that all they cared about was putting the ball in the back of the net. Today it is scarce. So take out Lewandowski, who is old already. Yeah. Lewandowski is not this. I don't want to think he's this generation. The only person you can then think of is Haaland.
That's it.
Even Isak is.
Isak by default is a striker, right? Because who else is going to do it? If he doesn't do it, who's going to do it? Aubameyang was converted, right? Aubameyang played alongside Lewandowski, so he was never going to be the number 9. So he started out on the left. So I think it was once you got rid of the number, it's all connected, right? Pep got rid of the number 10. Pep got rid of the number 10 in world football. I blame Pep for everything. All our woes goes back to Pep. So we're paying the price for Messi. So Messi, that's the crazy thing to me is you got the world's best number 10, and Pep was like, nah, it won't play number 10. I'm getting rid of the number 10. I'm gonna play him in false 9. Then I'm gonna play him on the right. Pep got rid of the world number 10. So if Requelme played today, it would be on somebody's bench because he didn't run, he didn't tackle, he didn't work hard. So the mercurial number 10 who danced around and made things happen is gone. And the number 9 that is playing behind is gone. So this almost slavish devotion to the 4-3-3 is why we're here, Yinka.
So we'll move on for time. But just don't you think? I think that 10, maybe it's a cyclical thing. Is a chicken egg situation. Because my thought is you earn that position where you just say, you know what, you're good enough to just be on the pitch, and just make things work. Which is what Bruno Fernandes thinks he is, but he's not. And I'm looking at Bruno Fernandes, I'm like, you're not as talented as Martin Odegaard. You're not as talented as Bernardo Silva, as KDB. This guy still do more defensive work than you do, right? I thought, me as a coach, I would look at Zidane and say, oh boy, you're too mercurial to be defending. Just be on the pitch. Let me get workaholics and omniscience to do your work for you. That's my thinking, right? But maybe you're right. Maybe it's just...
You can, I don't know anymore. You can do that. You can do that for maybe one person, and they have to be absolutely special.
It has to be material.
Absolutely special. You can do it for maybe 5 players in world football, but you cannot do it in a league. You can maybe get away with it in a tournament.
Yeah.
In 38 games, it will make you lose to the Osasunas and Crystal Palaces of the world if you're carrying a passenger.
Yeah.
Because what will happen is, so actually, I saw some of it today. I love Martin Odegaard, right? I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But you also know how much I love Iwobi.
Yeah.
For me, what makes Iwobi special is being their biggest attacking spark at Fulham this season. You've seen the goals. You've seen the shuttling. He instinctively sacrificed his first half today to just man-mark Martin Odegaard and gave Martin Odegaard a nightmare of a time. Because I'm like, oh, all of a sudden you've gone from scoring worldies to attacking space, denying space, tackling, all of that. It just does that. But not everyone can do that.
Fair point. Fair point.
Yeah.
Let's put a bow on this. I'm sure this discussion
Okay.
will pop up again in the future.
I
Let's
think it
move
will be
on.
a great discussion for our in studio
In studio.
episode, which I'm teasing now, but we'll say more about. We'll say more about in a
And,
few. Okay.
yeah.
Yinka, we're making good progress. We didn't finish at 90 minutes, but we're almost done.
Almost done.
So Newcastle to me seem to have stalled.
Yeah.
Eddie Howe has gone from the best thing since English sliced bread to just sliced bread.
Yeah.
Can Eddie Howe take Newcastle any further than where they are now?
Okay. So this is a tricky one. I don't
Yeah.
think Newcastle stalling is Eddie Howe's fault.
Okay.
I think they started off right with a plan, right, and the P&L's rule stalled their plan a bit to pull together a world-class squad. Right now, they are just, they're just feeding on breadcrumbs. Last season, the only person they bought was Lewis Hall, a left back. It wasn't because they didn't have money. It's just because they can't spend the money because of P&S rules, right? So given the tools at his disposal currently, right, I think Newcastle are where they should be. That's my opinion. Given the tools at his disposal right now, I think they're where they should be. Who's Newcastle's best player? Ishak?
I'm not sure.
Guimaraes?
Bruno maybe?
Bruno Guimaraes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. So Bruno and Isak. Look at the back line. Look at who they have. They have Shah, they have Burns, they have Hall, they have Livramento. These are not spectacular players. They have Pope in post. Pope is okay, but Pope is not, In midfield, they have Tonali and Guimaraes, similar players. They have, what's his name? This Brazilian guy that was a striker that was converted to a midfielder. I've forgotten his name. Yeah? Come on. These guys are not... They're not spectacular players, yeah? So I don't think Newcastle's, platoon right now is Howe's fault. I'm probably allocate 5 or 10% to him. I think it's 90%, more or less what the club's vision was and everything, yeah? But I know owners are impatient and they want to believe that they can always get something better. Good luck with that. If they get another coach, the IGT will make them better. And after a while, I think the dust will settle and you will be where you are, right? Newcastle, on the other hand, if there is really a venue that you can deem the 12th man, I think it is St. James's Park squad. Crowd, their fans. That stadium gives them, I think it gives them a bit of advantage. Not even a bit. They really, really make life uncomfortable for their away team, and they really, really support their team. Just like Anfield. Yeah. So for me, can Eddie Howe take Newcastle any further? I don't think he can, but I don't think it's his fault. I think he needs a better squad than what he currently has to be able to compete with the people in top four.
Okay, so I think they're gonna lose some of their players in the off season. I think the chatter, right, Inka? The chatter around Isak has gotten too loud to ignore. I think the Arsenal brass and Arteta really like him. I suspect a little more than they do Gyökeres. And I think he's an Arsenal fan. And I think the lack of success, the Saudi money hasn't translated into real success. I think seeing Chelsea, blowing past them now, seeing Villa of all teams, blowing past them. Who knows what Spurs might do? You never know. And that now Brighton and Brentford, hovering around them. You know, um, I think it's that you get stuck in that almost not quite mediocre, but mediocre for your
Mhm.
standards, for your expectations. Uh, Bruno will go to the highest bidder, and nobody will really blink an eye. Um, I think City really wanted Bruno once upon a time, so I could see that still happening. Now they have Gordon. The Gordon Isak thing hasn't elevated them like I thought it would. I think they will lose Isak. I really do. I think other people can pay him and give him the success he wants. I can see Chelsea going in for him. They're not spending money. They're not paying wages as much as they used to, but I don't know. Maybe they changed that or whatever. So that's what I think will happen, and I think Eddie Howe will be gone. I think they'll, it's easier to fire the manager than to get a world class
Yeah,
player.
yeah, I agree.
So it's
But I
sad,
don't
but
think it's his
so
fault though. But that's what
yeah.
where we find ourselves. Okay, let's move
All
on.
right. Yinka, our final topic is Arsenal the new Stoke City? I'll let you have this one.
So you know what happened? Arsenal has scored probably 20 as at today, and that will be 23 set piece
Mm,
goals over 2 seasons, which is the highest by far. I think the next person is on 15 or so.
mm,
Um, and after the two set piece goals against United, everybody came out. Berbatov,
mm.
all the pundits were like, "Oh, Arsenal could not beat United in open play. They could only beat them in set piece." And I'm like, "Sorry, set piece table tennis is is set piece long tennis, is set piece badminton. Is it not part of the game, right?" And I'm like, the set piece is not just something that happens, right? It's corner kicks don't just happen by tossing the coin. Corner kick happens because somebody's on the offense and somebody's defending and it led to a corner. Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm like, I will blame all of you for turning Arteta and Arsenal into a set piece club. And let me explain. When you come
Go
to
for
the
it.
Emirates and you come and pack the bus, and it's difficult to break you down, I keep shooting and it keeps hitting people and going for corners, and I'm not making good use of the corner kick, don't you think a reasonable coach would go, okay, you know what? You want to come and pack the bus. I'm getting plenty corners. Maybe I need to be getting the best out of these corner kicks.
Mm.
Maybe I need to be getting the best out of these corner kicks. Maybe I need to make this an asset so that you will think, so that you will think twice, or you'll be conscious of the fact that maybe I shouldn't be too defensive with these guys, because once they get corners, it's almost as good as them scoring. Maybe I need to open up. Maybe I need to play. But y'all come into the Emirates and y'all lock up and you don't come out. So the easiest way, if I get a corner kick, let me make the best use of the corner kick. Yeah.
Mm.
So see,
Mm.
this is part of football. And let me say this: every single club, every single team in world football do pranks in corner kicks, right? All these things that you see, grabbing, da 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 da. No, the reason why people are crying is because Arsenal has gotten very, very good at it. That is the problem. Yeah, all this. Oh, you're blocking the goalkeeper. You and I remembered Arteta's, was it second season or first season, away to Brentford, where
Yeah.
somebody stood on what's his name, on Bernd Leno, didn't let him jump, and the ref said it wasn't a foul. And I think Arteta looked at it, was like, "Oh, really? So that's how we're rolling now. This is what you guys want to do." And it's like, you know what? I need a set piece expert. Maybe we should start. You know, we should start. Getting advantages within the confines of the law, because right
Yeah.
now I'm just getting these set pieces and I'm not making the best use out of it. People are coming into my team, my club, and they are locking up. Now,
Mm.
where fans, opposition fans and pundits, where I don't get this. Arsenal scored the highest number of goals last season, didn't they? Or was it City?
In their history, in their Premier League history, 89. I
So
don't know if they scored more than City, but they scored the most in
I think they scored
Arsenal
more.
Premier League
I,
history.
I can't. I'm not sure, but I think.
I'll
We can
check it.
double
Keep
check.
going.
We can double
I'll
check.
check it.
But you
Yeah.
scored 89 goals last season. So what percentage of Arsenal goals, let's combine both seasons, is set piece? It's probably less than 10-15%. So what exactly are we talking about when you say, yeah, go ahead.
So last season, Arsenal had 89 points. They scored
Okay.
91 goals. City
And
scored 96.
this is got
But
96.
yeah, but Arsenal only considered 29, City 34. They finished with the same goals difference.
So you can't score 91 goals and you're telling me someone even had the audacity. I can't remember who. It was Mikel Obi. Mikel
I saw
said,
it.
after they've given you this amount of money, all you can do is make set piece your weapon. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. It can't be this obtuse. It can't be this obtuse.
Ah,
Are you really saying this? Are you really
okay.
saying this? The fact that they've turned it into an asset is what you should be commending the manager to say, Akin, you and I were in business. You know how this thing works. You do SWOT
Yeah.
analysis. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw an opportunity and I looked at my strength and I'm like, I have tall players that are quite good in the air. Let's perfect my delivery. Declan Rice wasn't playing corner kicks last season. It only started because they put the work in this season. They said, who is good with delivery? Saka is good on the right. Declan is good on the left. That's how this thing works. So you're going back to your point. You work hard. You go into training and you do stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I don't get all this. Arsenal is the new Stoke. It's nonsense. Arrant nonsense. I rest my case.
Thank you, Inka. So, because this is our final topic, I'm gonna try to take this one. I'm gonna try not to be as ranty as I usually am on this thing. So you said a lot. So let me take a couple of them. The
Mm.
Brent Leno one, it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't just Brent Leno. They did it to Ramsdale as well at Villa.
Yep.
They did it
Yes.
to the Ramsdale. I think they punched him and pushed him off or whatever, and it was fine. And it was fine. Yinka, I love Arsenal. I've been a fan pretty much all my life. But there was let's call it charitably, a 10-year period where Arsenal were known to be weak. That was their brand. Their brand was because Wenger decided, I'm going to buy only number 10s and
Yeah.
nobody taller than 4'2". Everybody was tiny, tiny, twinkle toed, looked like a 13-year-old boy, right? That was the preferred Arsenal, player. And all these same pundits, some of them were saying what I'm about to say as players. I remember. What
Yeah.
did they say? What did Rio say? What did Neville say? Oh, when you would come to to Highbury, you'll be in the tunnel and you would know you've already lost the game because everybody was a giant. Everybody on Arsenal was a giant. And now look at all these runts. You know, they don't intimidate anybody, right? So Yinka, you said Mikel was adjusting to his personnel. I slightly disagree. Mikel went and got the tall personnel. Mikel said, apparently, when Mikel was with City, Mikel kept pushing Pep to pay attention to set pieces, and Pep wanted no part of it, but Mikel would not relent. That's how they went and got Nikola Jova. That was Mikel. And then Mikel brought him to Arsenal. And then look at all his recruitment. Everybody's tall. All his defenders are tall. Except, what's his name? Zinchenko. All his defenders are tall. Timber is not tall, but he's thick. Is massive. So this is not doing this because he has tall players. He went and got those tall players on purpose. Right? If I was Mikel, you know what I would do? I would get Odegaard to take the corner kicks from the right side so Rice can be one more tall body in the box. That's what I would do. So I'm gonna let me look at the it was really the Man United. Apparently you're not permitted to be better than Man United. So let me look at the Man United game, Yinka, real quick. I was looking at. Oh man, I thought I had it open. I'm sorry, I thought I had it open, but I was gonna say the stats looked very even, Yinka, until you get to the shots and shots on goal, which wasn't. But you know what really wasn't? The number of corner kicks. It was 13-0.
Yep.
13-0.
Yep.
So if you're are Arsenal playing for corner kicks? Do they go to the byline and then hit the ball against the defender so it goes
defender.
This is insane. Okay, if anyone is watching, and I know many people, many of our friends who actually believe this, you sound crazy. You literally sound crazy saying this. Because again, the only time I can say, okay, you know what? They made you look dumb. One of those 13 was Rashford in the corner. He slipped. Arsenal got a corner. The captain Odegaard went like this and all that. But again, what does that come down to? One guy was switched on mentally. The other guy was in the club. And you know how much I love Rashford. But as much as I love him, why do I love him? Because I'm like, oh, there's so much to work with here. And I love him with Arteta because Arteta is going to get something out of him. But now seeing Sterling, I'm like, maybe there's some people you just can't get anything out of.
Yeah.
Because maybe even Arteta cannot get anything out of guys who just refuse to work hard. Yeah. Like, that should not have been a corner. But only one of them was in the game. So with Arsenal, with Arteta, this is not a game to them. And then I hate that I keep going back to Neville and Ferdinand, but Neville wasn't like I said, he was in the studio and he was talking with he was talking in the studio and he said back then they didn't used to practice this stuff. Like they used to practice at the end of practice, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like 10 minutes, set pieces.
Yeah.
And nobody liked doing it, right? But apparently, this is from Gary Neville. Arteta does it as part of practice. Yeah. Because it's like, the ball goes out of play, like in the middle of the game. So why are we doing it for 10 minutes at the end? And then he also said they knew Man U. No, I can't remember if it was him or Tim Howard. It might have been Tim Howard. They knew Man U were going to be in trouble because guess what? They were practicing defending set pieces
in the Emirates.
At the Emirates.
Yeah, at the Emirates. Yeah, I saw that.
And they were like, what are you doing? Now, I missed the game. I watched the game, at night because I told you I was at an offsite. Yeah. So I watched it later, and I'm watching it in bits and bits the whole time. So I totally missed that part of it, because when I saw the replay, they didn't show all the pre-game and stuff. So they're like, your opponent is already in your head.
Yeah.
Because you're coming in and you're feeling like you have to practice. What were you doing before?
And you're actually showing them because they're watching you. They're seeing what you're doing. How stupid is that? How stupid is that?
Yinka, let me close this. I'm going to leave the Arsenal thing. I'll just give Man U some advice, right? Play the kids. No, I'm serious, Yinka. Play the kids, right? Like, I know you think you have more money than you do, but you actually need money. Sell Bruno Fernandes, right? The 15 goals a season is not worth it. You're delaying the inevitable, right? Sell Bruno Fernandes, right? Play the kids. Flog Rashford. Let him be someone else's problem. I'm sure Newcastle will be very happy to take him. They got plenty of money, right? It's not working. Onana has to go. There has to be a kid in your academy who is not insane. And having one good game every 4 or 5 games is how you get relegated. So let him go to a relegation club. Let him, maybe that's what gets him off. I don't know. So that's my advice to Man U. Like, this is not going to work out for you. I had my joke ready in the middle of the week, Yinka, that they were at the top of the league. The second half of the league. Now I can't even say that because they're not on top of the second half of the league, Yinka. They're 13th.
They're in top 4.
How are you in 13th, Yinka? With the third of the season gone. How out here just messing up my jokes. So that's my advice to our friends at Man U.
Mm.
Get the
So,
kids in. Play the kids.
so I'll put some picture. We'll get our producer to put some picture stills of Man U defending set pieces as we're
Oh
having this
Lord.
discussion, so you guys can see what we're talking about. Now, here's what's gonna happen.
Okay.
Anybody that is in coaching, that is taking his grades, all those, start taking set pieces as a specialty, because
Yeah.
Jova has opened a new JD completely, right? Because right now every club is going to get a set piece coach. Give it 2 years. Every single club is going to get a set piece coach, yeah, because it's part of the game. And maybe the reason why some clubs will not get is because they don't get as much corner kicks because they're always on the defensive side, yeah. Because going back to your point, Arsenal had 13 corner kicks against United. United didn't have one.
0.
Possession was 50-50.
Yeah, roughly
XG
40, 51, 49, whatever. Yeah.
XG, Arsenal had 2.3, United had 0 point something, right? Shots on target was like 14-5. So the only thing that, and goes back to my point, Amorim came with a strategy. Let me hold on to the ball. At least if they don't have the ball, they won't do anything with it. Yeah? And when we don't have the ball, we stay compact. That led to a lot of corner kicks, right? You can't eat your cake and have it. Is it that one way? Is it that you come to play and you are on the offensive side, or you come to defend and you suffer the consequences? That's what it is. Yeah. But don't blame. Set piece is not outside of football. It's part of football. It's the same thing when people say non-penalty goals. I'm like, sorry, what do you mean non-penalty goals? So penalty is not part of football. It is part of football. The fact that somebody converts it at a high clip, or his team are confident and comfortable for him to take the spot kick, it means something. You can't just ignore that. Reason why Saka plays penalties for Arsenal is because they trust him and he's composed. He knows how to take them. Same thing with Cole Palmer. Same thing with Mohamed Salah. It means something. I've taken a spot kick before in a tournament. Guys, it's not easy. I have multiple times. Guys, it's not easy. All of a sudden, the post will just shrink. I know what I'm talking about. And this is me in Unilorin football pitch, right? It's just a normal, was it interdepartmental tournament or whatever?
Yeah.
Can't remember what it was. Now imagine you being in a stadium and you knowing the weight of the world is on you, of the fans in the stadium and the fans outside of the stadium, and you have the goalkeeper. It's not easy. So let's.
But they say that about the tap-in merchants as well. People, look, in this life, again, free advice, people will always try to diminish you when you're on top, right? So, but for me, it's the inconsistency. You want to be a hater all the way. For people, and they know who they are, who sent me text today celebrating Cole Palmer going 12 for 12 from the penalty spot, then turn around and call my club Set Piece FC. Your hate is showing. I'm sorry. Your hate is showing. You can't be like PK 12 for 12. Oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then, but Arsenal. I mean, what are you telling?
And going back to your tapping people, once again, we've said this before, we'll say it again. Part of being a striker is having the positional awareness to actually be there to tap it in. People don't think that matters. Yeah. It's not. I mean, see, there's more to football than just anyway.
But Yinka, players don't derisively call other players tapping merchants because they know how hard it is.
It's not easy.
You know what I'm saying? They know how hard it is.
It's not easy. So, for example, somebody looks at. I know I take a swipe at Jackson constantly, right? It was the same with Andy Cole several years ago, right? But I like him. I just if Chelsea can do better, that's what I meant. It's not as if it's the bad player and stuff, right? Somebody will say being in the position, creating that chance, is a skill in itself. It's completely different from putting the ball in the back of the net. They're two different things.
1,000%.
They're two different things. You will have some people, that chance will never come. but they are very, very, their conversion rate is probably 70% and above. If only they could work a bit more, they could play a bit more with the team, and they could be more involved, they would be better, but they're not. So these things matter in football. Akin, we've said enough.
Yeah, all right. Do you have a donkey of the week or not?
Nah, it's been a good week.
Okay. Can we just make it Man U fans and all the fans coming at Arsenal? Can I do my donkey of the week?
You can have your donkey.
That's my donkey of the week. Everyone who claims they're a football fan, calling one club, set piece FC, you are the donkey of the week. Do better, or whatever Inca says. Do better. Don't do this again. All right. So I teased this earlier, but we are trying to have one, maybe two in studio episodes. It's Dirty December. Let's get into the spirit, and hopefully for one or both, we'll have guests in studio as well.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to it, both of us, and
we are.
Yeah, and I think hopefully there will be some good games over the festive period, and that will lead to some great conversation as well.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. So we've come to the end of today's episode. Thank you, people. Akin, we said we're going to do 1 hour 30 minutes, and as usual, we never.
This time it was my fault. This time too many rants.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thanks everyone once again for the support. Thanks for sharing. We've had an uptick in our subscription numbers, but we're still looking for more. So please, guys, you know what to do. Tell a friend about us. Like, subscribe. Whenever you see our content, share. Smash the notification bell so that whenever we release stuff, and you can listen to us. And don't worry, it's 2 hours, but we usually chop this up, right? So that at least you guys can take in the content in piecemeal, as against the old 2-hour session that we run through every week. So once again, thanks guys. We really appreciate it. Akin.
Yeah. Thank you everyone. Thank you, Inka. Looking forward to the in studio, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.